Happy Monday. Welcome to the Pre-Snap podcast presented by LineStar. We've got your top NFL player prop bets for tonight's Monday Night Football contest between the Atlanta Falcons and the Philadelphia Eagles. Right now, the Eagles favored by 5.5 points. And alongside me is Tyler Wiemann. We're going to break down tonight's contest with some prop bets plus some touchdown calls. And then Tyler and I will each give our game picks for who's going to end up winning this contest. It should be a good one. Now, I know there's been a lot of overreactions to week one performances, so I'm trying my best not to really overreact to what we saw out of the Atlanta Falcons last week, Tyler, with Kirk Cousins. But, I mean, it was a little concerning to see such a lack of mobility with Kirk Cousins back there. What did you make of their performance, and how are you kind of gauging that against a really good Steelers defense and then kind of looking at this matchup against a good Eagles team?
Super good Steelers defense. So I'm going to give a little bit of a pass, but I absolutely have some concerns about Kirk Cousins' mobility. And I think that's one of the things I'm going to be really watching tonight is he moving or not? Mm-hmm. How well is he moving? I watched some practice footage and it definitely looked like he wasn't pushing off his leg that much. So I mean, we'll see. It's something at least should get better throughout the season and should get more healthy. So I wouldn't say it's over for the Falcons, if he looks bad again, but it's definitely a troubling sign if that's the case.
Well, it was a wild week 2 of games, so anything can happen, as we know. And just looking up a couple stats that jumped out to me, week 2 underdogs of less than a touchdown have cashed at a 57% clip since 2003. After a loss, it gets even better, 61%. But Jalen Hurts has some pretty good numbers at home. He's covered the spread 62.5% of the time as the Eagles starting quarterback. And then you've also got the Kirk Cousins in primetime effect. Yes, he's 3-10 against the spread and straight up on Monday night in his career. So a couple things to consider before we head into our prop bets. Our picks are going to be available on Underdog Fantasy, Sleeper, Chalkboard, ParlayPlay. And if you don't have those apps yet, make sure to use the promo code LineStar when you first download it, so you'll get a nice deposit match, plus you'll also get 1 free month of LineStar, which is exactly what we are using to help us find these prop picks. We're using the PropsAI tool on the LineStar app. If you haven't checked it out yet, highly recommend you do so. LineStarApp.com. We had some success this week, so hoping to finish the week 2 strong here. Let's get into our picks. We'll start off with PropsAI pick of the week on the LineStar app, and that's going to be Drake London, over 55.5 receiving yards. LineStar really liking London here. 66.6 is the projection. Now, last season, London averaged 56.6, and that was with a pretty poor offense that didn't really utilize him to the best of his abilities. Now going up against a Philadelphia Eagles team that does have a decent defense, but they just allowed 260 passing yards versus Green Bay. And we did see Kirk struggle with some mobility this week. Now, I think this could play into how the Philadelphia Eagles approach this defensively and just kind of stack the box, kind of limit Bijan and his rushing abilities and force Kirk Cousins to throw, because he did have 2 interceptions in that game against the Steelers. So I kind of think here is a play for some of the pass catchers on the Falcons to have a good game. And the best one there, Drake London. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting play. I mean, our one thing is we're worried about Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
outside of that, the matchup is great. Philadelphia ranked 26, allowing 179.3 receiving yards to the wide receiver over the last 9 games. So he is in a good spot. Can Kirk Cousins get him the ball quickly?
Yeah.
And maybe that's what it is. They just need to get the ball out really fast so Kirk doesn't have to move.
Yeah, the one thing, too, about the Eagles defense that I've kind of watched a little bit of week 1 against the Packers, but there seemed to be some miscommunication. They're adopting a new defensive scheme with Vic Fangio, and his schemes are notably very complex. So usually they start off at the beginning of the season like a little bit out of sorts. So that's kind of where I'm kind of leaning on maybe Kirk Cousins being able to find some mismatches on the defense early in the season when they haven't fully quite grasped the new scheme with Vic Fangio. So not a bad spot here. LineStar's projection over 66.6. So we're going to roll with it here for Drake London. All right, next up, Tyler and I are each going to choose our best bets of the night. What you got, Tyler?
I'm going to go with Jahan Dotson over 28.5 receiving yards. Our LineStar projections 34.2. Consensus is 33. There's no A.J. Brown in this game, and that is the big news. He's going to run as the wide receiver, too. He ran 42% of snaps as a wide receiver 3 in game 1. So I like the spot. He also averaged 31 yards per game in Washington with a poor QB, was, the second or third option at times, and poor offense. So we're getting an offensive upgrade, a QB upgrade. I
Yeah.
think he can go over 30 as the WR2.
Yeah, no AJ Brown in this one is huge for this prop here. I really like that pick here with Dodson. They brought him in for a reason to come up in spots like this where maybe one of the other wide receivers is a bit limited. So I fully expect them to use him to the best of his abilities in this one. For mine, I was kind of debating between two. I'll give you both of them, but the one that I'm going with today is going to be Bijan Robinson over his receiving yards total. Right now, that line at 31.5. So I'm liking the over here. LineStar's with me on it at 34.6 for the projection. He had 43 last week against a really good Steelers defense. And last season, he averaged about 28.6. But this is a much better offensive scheme. I know we didn't really see it last week, but that was against a really good Steelers team, and he still got over on his receiving yards total with that at 43 again last week. And one thing that really stuck with me about one of the things that Atlanta Falcons offensive coordinator Zach Robinson said was that he wanted to utilize Bijan more like CMC is utilized in San Francisco, which to me, that means a lot of plays designed to get him the ball, especially like over the middle in space, just get him some room, get him the ball. And Bijan, of course, is a great pass catcher that can do a lot of damage through the air as well. And as I mentioned when we were talking about the Drake London prop and with the over on receiving yards there, is that I think one of the things for the Eagles defense is going to be really challenging Kirk Cousins and forcing him to throw the ball. I think they're going to try to force him into some bad decisions, but I think that kind of lends itself to maybe some checkdowns to Bijan, get him at like a short over the middle, quick passes. So I like Bijan here over 31.5 receiving yards. Now, the other one that I was sort of debating, LineStar is not with me on this one, but I still like Saquon Barkley, the quad father, to go over his total yards. Right now, it's at 99.5. It's super high, so I get if you want to just stay off this spot completely. He did have 132 total yards last week against Green Bay. Last season, he averaged about 88.7 with a terrible Giants team that their offensive line was horrible. Now with the Eagles, much better offensive line, much better offense in general. So I think he could get there. Also without A.J. Brown in the mix too, I think we could see him, more involved in the receiving game as well. So I kind of like Saquon today. But for my main pick, the one I'm like putting my money behind, I'm definitely going with Bijan. But Saquon is hard to pass up at home in Philly today. And I feel like Saquon's on an absolute revenge tour since he didn't get that contract with the Giants, goes to their rivals. And now starting from game one, he's already showing his value, and probably the Giants maybe having a little bit remorse that they didn't show him the money. What do you think?
He can definitely get it done. Najee had 79 yards versus Atlanta in game 1, and we know Saquon is much better than Najee Harris. So it's definitely possible. Don't mind the pick whatsoever. And
Yeah. All right. So those are our picks. If you've got any locks for us, feel free to drop them in the comments, or if you disagree with us on a prop, we want to hear from you guys in the comments. A comment also enters you into our prop bets contest. We're going to throw our 3 picks on a ticket, and if we win, we will give out the winnings on the next Monday Night Football show. So stay tuned for that. Again, if we go 3 for 3, one randomly selected commenter will win $50 if we go 3 for 3. So all you got to do, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below when you're in it to win it. It's that easy. All right, now it is time for touchdown calls of the game. Tyler, where are you headed for an anytime touchdown in this Monday Night Football contest?
I'm going right back to my prop pick. We're going Jahan Dotson plus 330 to get in the end zone. I love the value here. He is the wide receiver too, and he's been very good in the red zone, or at least he was for Washington. He has 11 touchdowns over the last 2 years. That was with a poor offense, poor quarterback. That Terry McLaurin only had 9 touchdowns over that span. And he had a red zone target last week, so we know Hurts is at least comfortable enough to throw him the ball in the red zone. I think Dotson's getting one this week.
All right, for my touchdown call, we're not getting too cute with it. We're just going Jalen Hurts for an anytime touchdown, plus 105. Last game, he had 13 rushes for 33 yards. He had 3 of those in the red zone. Also, Atlanta gave up 57 rushing yards to Justin Fields week 1, and they allowed opposing quarterbacks to rush for 6 touchdowns last year. And as Tyler pointed out, the last game, I think you probably picked Hurts the first game, but the brotherly shove is still in full effect, as we saw in their game in Brazil. Now it's back home in Philadelphia, the home of brotherly love and the home of the brotherly shove. Let's get Jalen Hurts a touchdown tonight at plus 105. Those are our touchdown calls, but now it's time for game picks action. Tyler, when you look at this matchup, Philadelphia Eagles at home, favored by 5.5, but favorites this weekend haven't fared too well. What do you think about this matchup?
I would be shocked if Philadelphia doesn't win this game. I do expect Atlanta to be much better than they were last year, but I think Cousins still needs to get a little more healthy, and I don't think they're totally in rhythm with their systems yet. Well, Philadelphia might not be either. I just think they have more talent, and so Philly.
Exactly. It's hard for me to back a quarterback that didn't seem to have it week 1. I know it was against a really tough Steelers defense, so I'm trying not to completely overreact, but that doesn't mean I can, completely 100% back him until I've actually seen him be a little bit more successful. So for me, I got to go with the Eagles, the home team in this one. And even without A.J. Brown, I think they still have enough passing threats. And Jalen Hurts himself can get it done on the ground as well. You saw Fields run a bunch on them too in his first game. So I'm going to go with the Eagles on this one to be able to cover the spread at home. I mentioned the stats at the top. Jalen Hurts has covered the spread at home 62.5% of the time as the Eagles starting quarterback. And Cousins has always kind of struggled in prime time, especially on Monday Night Football, 3-10 against the spread and straight up. So we're rolling with the Eagles. Oh, man. Here we go. Hopefully, although I feel like my picks this weekend, I should disclose that I haven't gotten some picks this weekend. In fact, I thought the Ravens were going to win. I knew that the Cowboys might not, but I thought the Ravens would do it. Any surprising upsets for you week 2?
I mean, obviously the Raiders winning is a big one. The Saints putting on just an absolute show was wild. Second week in a row, they're the highest scoring offense in the NFL, and historically very good start for them as far as their offensive numbers. So I mean, it's wild. Really excited to see.
I was gonna say, I'm just happy the Jets got to win.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what this season has to offer, because there's definitely some expectations that haven't been met and some that have far exceeded with teams. So we'll see if those two kind of level out a little bit. I would expect they do.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, let us know what your comments are for week 2 and any locks that you have for tonight's game. Please let us know in the comments. And if you haven't checked out the LineStar app, I highly recommend you do so. Not only will it help you for your prop bets, but also it'll help you with your daily fantasy as well. And if you haven't checked out Tyler's breakdown for DFS, got to check it out. Take Down Tyler has your tips for you for DFS, so go check that out. Good luck in all of your prop betting endeavors for tonight's game. Enjoy the game. We'll see you guys next time.